In this video, we'll do a few examples that show how to correctly enter parentheses in your Excel calculations. So the first calculation we're going to do is this fraction. 8 minus 6 is in the numerator, 1 plus 3 is in the denominator. Now, if you were to pull out a calculator and type directly left to right, top to bottom, you might think to type 8 minus 6 and then a division symbol, 1 plus 3. But notice that is incorrect. Your calculator would read that left to right using order of operations. So it would first divide 6 divided by 1, and it would get 6 for that calculation. Then it would take 8 minus 6 plus 3, and it would get an answer of 5. So if I went over to Excel and I typed equals exactly that, 8 minus 6 divided by 1 plus 3, it's going to give me an answer of 5, which is incorrect. We want the calculation to divide the number 8 minus 6, which is 2. So we want it to take this entire value, 8 minus 6, in parentheses, and divide that by the entire value 4, the entire denominator, 1 plus 3, in parentheses. So notice I wrap parentheses around the expression in the top, and I divide that by parentheses around the entire bottom. So then it's going to do 2 divided by 4, and it's going to get an answer of 0.5. It's going to get an answer of 1/2. So let's try that. Equals, I add parentheses, 8 minus 6, and the parentheses, there's the numerator, divided by parentheses 1 plus 3. And so both the top and the bottom are in parentheses, and it gives me an answer of 0.5. So it's not just numerators and denominators you need to be careful of. You also may need to add parentheses around an exponent. So if your exponent is something more than just a number, you need to put parentheses around the exponent. So if I were to pull out a calculator and type 20 times 1.04 raised to the 2 plus 8 times 6, what your calculator would do is first, with order of operations, it would only calculate the value 1.04 squared, because that's what it says here. Take 1.04 and raise it to the second power. It would then multiply that by 20, and lastly, it would add the number 8 times 6. But that's not what we want. So let's try that. If I go over here and I do that incorrectly, it would be 20 times 1.04 raised to the 2 plus 8 times 6. It's only going to square the 1.04. It's not putting the 2 plus 8 times 6 in the exponent. It's only putting 2 in the exponent. So that's incorrect. Instead, we need to put parentheses around that entire exponent. So I type my 20 times 1.04 and my caret to make the exponent, but then I put parentheses around the 2 plus 8 times 6, so that entire expression is up in the exponent. So when I enter that in Excel, I'm putting those parentheses around the entire exponent, so that entire value is up in the exponent. We get a completely different answer. All right, lastly, you might end up with an expression that has multiple parentheses in it. So here I'm seeing I've got a numerator and I've got a denominator. So I'm going to put parentheses around the numerator, and I'm going to put parentheses around the denominator. I also see that I have an exponent expression. So I'm going to put parentheses around the exponent. So it would not be correct to just type like this without those parentheses. That is completely wrong in multiple ways. The exponent here would only be 4. We'd only be dividing 9 by 6 instead of 9 divided by the entire denominator. So this is very wrong. Instead, I'm going to have parentheses divided by parentheses. I might even set it up that way when I start typing it in Excel so that I'm sure to have parentheses around the top, parentheses around the bottom. Then I start typing my numerator inside the top, 20 times 1.8 raised to the, and in the exponent, I need 4 minus 9. So I wrap parentheses around that exponent, 4 minus 9. Then I go to my denominator. The entire denominator is 6 times 1.45. That has to have parentheses around it, so all of it ends up in the denominator. Now, in this particular example, I want to just point out, it would be acceptable for you to simplify that a little bit. I do recommend you get in the habit of doing the parentheses divided by parentheses when you have fractions, but you actually don't need parentheses around the number 1.8. So you could do it like this. There doesn't need to be parentheses around just a number. So that's slightly simpler if you prefer to do it this way. And technically, you actually don't even need parentheses around the top here, but I think it's a good habit for you to get in. Put parentheses around the numerator, put parentheses around the denominator. So again, if you had typed it directly without added parentheses, like so, this is going to come out wrong. But if you add those parentheses around the top, divided by parentheses around the bottom, we see we get a completely different answer. So be very mindful of those parentheses. It makes your answers come out completely differently.